News from the Borderland. This is EPAS Unleashed. Hi, everyone. Welcome to EPAS Unleashed. I'm your host, Jessica Navarro, and we have two very special guests here joining us for our new episode. Thank you all for being here. You all are from the EmpOURment Project. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course.
So, my name is Anabel. I am the primary prevention facilitator, and we are part of the EmpOURment Project, which is from the Center Against Sexual and Family Violence. So, it's our local campaign that we call the EmpOURment Project, and we don't misspell it on accident. It's misspelled on purpose. So, the way we spell it is EmpOURment. So, we want to emphasize the hour in empowerment just to kind of emphasize the work that we do. So what we do is we work with the community, and it's our community, and it's not, an individual effort to prevent sexual violence. It's a collaborative effort, and it takes a whole community to kind of prevent that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm the facilitator, and
And I am Marissa Delgado. I'm the program coordinator for primary prevention at the Center Against Sexual and Family Violence, or CASFV. But so our agency has existed for 46 years
Oh, wow.
in the community, serving El Paso County, Hudspeth County, and Culberson County. Unfortunately, people only become aware of our agency after interventions needed
Yes.
for domestic violence or sexual assault. Our goal with the EmpOURment Project, so Annabelle and I are in charge of prevention within these three counties. So we're a two-person team. We're very strong.
You are.
And we're out in the community just basically trying to prevent sexual violence from occurring.
Yeah. Yeah. And can we talk a little bit about what is abuse? Because I feel like sometimes people don't really know exactly. They question themselves. So if we can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So abuse is any type of action that leads to mistreatment,
Mhm.
that harms an individual, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, psychological, sexual.
Mhm.
Those are all capacities of abuse. It could be digital, it could be financial.
Mhm.
Um, we just see these different dynamics that exist, and it's basically just instilling a fear,
Mhm.
power, and control over an individual to get them to pretty much do anything against like their own
Mhm.
will, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that just kind of controls them in
Yeah.
any aspect.
Mhm. And I know that there is a lot of family violence, unfortunately. Can we talk a little bit about what is family violence?
Mhm.
So family violence, it's again, it's like, involves the abuse, it's that power and control. And family violence, it's kind of not just focused on the relationship aspect, right? It's the whole family aspect where
Mhm.
anyone within a household can be abused. They can be either not just the physical, right? And everyone kind of thinks of the physical immediately,
Mhm.
but they don't realize that there's also that financial aspect. There's
Mhm.
that manipulation, the gaslighting,
Mhm.
the verbal. There's different types of aspects that
Mhm.
tie into abuse and family violence. Even just like children too, who are kind of not directly maybe the victim of like physical abuse, but they
Mhm.
see their the physical abuse be occurring between the parents,
Yeah.
and that's that indirect like psychological effect of having that abuse be right in their face.
Mhm.
And it's just like all these different aspects kind of come together. um but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's important to note with family violence. So there's domestic violence and then there's family violence, and
Mhm.
they pretty much are coinciding with the same thing.
Yeah.
But recently, I didn't know this until I started working for the agency. My misconception with domestic violence was, oh, it's usually like spousal,
Yeah.
but it's not. It could be any type of individuals that are living under one house.
Oh, wow.
So it could be roommates against roommates,
Oh, okay.
siblings against siblings, siblings against parent, child
Mhm.
against parent.
Mhm.
Any type of domestic type of dwelling that is
Mhm.
involved, that's what domestic violence is.
Mhm.
It's different from intimate partner violence.
Mhm.
Intimate partner violence is more of individuals who are dating,
Mhm.
who are not living in the in the same residence.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
Now I learned
Yeah.
something.
The more you
I'm
know.
The
sure a
more
lot of
you
people.
know.
Yes. And of course, a lot of people, maybe they might have that misconception that it might not happen to certain people. So, but it can happen to anyone.
Yeah, it doesn't discriminate against age, sex, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, class status,
Hmm.
immigration status.
Hmm.
It can affect anybody in any capacity, even
Yeah.
being a child who grew up with the effects of domestic violence and now
Mhm.
navigating life,
Yeah.
and understanding what relationships are and trying to break any type of cycle that you may have seen growing up or what your perception was of a relationship.
Hmm.
Um, it affects everybody in some
Yeah.
capacity.
Mhm.
There's just so much that goes into it aside from
Hmm.
like physical abuse.
Hmm.
Like Annabelle was saying, there's like the gaslighting that occurs, the manipulation,
Yeah.
any type of coercion.
Mhm.
It's pretty it's a vast amount of
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that can occur.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure that there are some listeners, they're probably wondering, like, what does this have to do with animals? I'm here to learn about animals and our organization, but there is a link between cruelty to animals and violence towards humans. Can we speak a little bit about that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it is true. A lot of people don't really see the correlation.
Hmm.
They just kind of see, like, oh, well, it's just, it's only violence towards the pet, right?
Yeah.
But they don't realize that there's that correlation with the abuse of animals and the actual domestic violence that's happening.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, if someone is really able to like have that mindset of, well, I can harm an animal
Hmm.
and there's no consequences, or I can harm an animal and there's no effect on that animal,
Hmm.
um who's to say what their mindset is when it comes to humans, right? When they
Yeah.
have that mindset of like, it doesn't really matter, what I'm doing is not really harmful.
Hmm.
And that kind of affects, their future actions towards other people, right?
Yeah, it's like actual or threatened animal abuse can be a way for an abuser to silence their victim,
Mhm.
Hmm.
to manipulate them.
Yeah.
Um just having that hold. I mean, I know that I'm a big dog lover. I'm a big animal lover. I love my
Mhm.
babies, my fur
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure anybody who knows me would be able to like use that as leverage to get me to
Oh,
do
yeah,
something.
definitely. Hmm.
And unfortunately, like there are cases where that happens, right?
Hmm.
Or even animals are used as a scapegoat, right?
Hmm.
Maybe I'm not hitting my partner or
Mhm.
hitting my child
Hmm.
or
Taking it out on an
yeah,
animal instead.
Yeah.
yeah, in any type of capacity. And it
Mhm.
doesn't have to just be a physical aspect. Annabelle and I were actually talking about it this morning. Like the coercion and manipulation that occur even with just like a simple breakup, right?
Hmm.
Let's say that there's two partners who are dating. They didn't live together, just had a breakup over something,
Hmm.
and maybe had a dog together,
Hmm.
right? That pet became fond of maybe one human over the other, or there's a
Yeah.
special bond and connection over one, and the other partner using that as a means of getting back at the
Hmm.
person, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna take Rufus away from you, right? Like,
Yeah.
just using that as a means of controlling the situation and kind of getting their revenge
Hmm.
Mhm.
for what happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like this type of objectification, right? That's what we were saying earlier,
Yeah.
where it's really like coincides with like in terms of like sexual violence too.
Hmm.
So when we talk about sexual violence, of course, there's this objectification that occurs
Hmm.
where women and just sexual violence occurs to anybody. It can be men, women, children, anybody. And when it happens for women, it's usually often seen as like women are something to be desired,
Hmm.
right? They're a means of sexual attraction, sexual gratification. And when that occurs, it's like animals are used as an object, right?
Hmm.
So any type of emotion that they have goes
Hmm.
out the window. And it's the same thing with female survivors, women
Hmm.
survivors of sexual assault or domestic violence, where
Hmm.
any type of personification that they had goes out the window and they're just an object.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I mean, animal cruelty, you would say is a predictor of human violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Mhm.
much.
Mhm.
And another thing too is that like so with physical violence, there's two types, right?
Yeah.
So there's that direct, which is the physical punching, hitting,
Mhm.
scratching, like the things
Mhm.
that you can see, the bruises you can see.
Yeah.
And then there's the indirect physical abuse, which is um the intimidation, right? The
Mhm.
punching holes in the walls,
Yeah.
slamming doors,
Mhm.
kicking the couch, throwing a phone across the room.
Yeah.
And abusing animals is another form of indirect physical abuse.
Mhm.
So when you notice that someone is physically abusing a dog or a cat or some type of animal, you know that there's a reason that that's happening,
Mhm.
and that could be just that form of indirect violence. Um, but yeah, so that could be a predictor of domestic violence.
Yeah, and I mean that's why it's so important to report if they see any animal cruelty happening because it, like you said, it could be something more.
Hmm.
A lot of times, we see that people will, oh, I just want to mind my own business,
Yeah.
like they're
Yeah.
hitting that dog or whatever, and that's that. Um, but we do see that there might be even more that's happening in the home or
Mhm.
and reporting it is just it's very crucial to the family.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. Like, minimizing it to, oh, it's just a
Mhm.
dog or it's just a
Yeah.
cat.
Mhm.
I mean, minimization is something that we hear all the time where we work.
Mhm.
So, fun fact, where we work, we actually are located with the intervention side of the house as well.
Okay.
So, with intervention, that's the Batter Intervention Prevention Program,
Mhm.
or BIP, and that is for aggressors in
Mhm.
situations. So, they're court ordered or self referred, and
Mhm.
they go and take this program, which is about 18 to 24 courses,
Okay.
and they just learn about healthy relationship dynamics starting from the
Mhm.
bottom. And what they're instilled is accountability
Mhm.
and taking accountability for the actions that they cause, like why they're there and all these
Mhm.
things, right? But there's a minimization that exists to where even in rhetoric, we hear things like boys will be boys
Oh,
or
yeah.
don't be a girl.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same thing as saying, oh, it's just a dog, it's just
Mhm.
a cat.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's something that has feelings, it's an
Mhm.
animal, it's something that deserves to be respected.
Yeah.
So regardless if it's human or not, like that's still a life.
Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely, and I mean, that's something that whenever I'm in schools or whenever I'm doing any kind of teaching, I want, my students to understand that this is a living being, you can't treat them that way. They have emotions just like we do. And, we even do little consent tests with our dogs and our cats, and that's something that we
Yeah.
teach, and I find that some students are like, they'll snicker and laugh at the little, "Oh, consent," like, like, "What
Yeah.
does that mean?"
Yeah.
But I think it's so important to have all these resources and understand that, like you said, don't make it less than what it is. It's
Yeah.
just because it's not, a human. It is still a living being. So, yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
And what what other, community engagement and educations do you all offer?
So we go out into the community. We have a lot of collaborations.
Mhm.
Actually, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yes.
So throughout that month, we were out in the community building that preventative type of awareness where people one knew that October meant that,
Mhm.
and we our goal is mostly to just get everybody in the community to understand what sexual violence is and
Mhm.
what's causing it and how can we stop it,
Yeah.
because it can't just stop with Annabelle and I. It's not
Mhm.
just going to stop with our agency, right? It's
Mhm.
not going to stop in this room
Yeah.
just with us. It's a whole wide community effort, which is where that hour in empowerment comes in.
Mhm.
And we know that with this, like, it is something that's important. And even though we come from like a cultural background where maybe it's taboo, right?
Mhm.
Talking about domestic violence, talking about sexual violence, and but knowing that it exists. I mean, obviously, we have jobs for a reason, and
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
hope to one day not have a job doing
Mhm.
this, because then that would mean that my job was done, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's just important to do that. But we had a lot of small businesses that we collaborated with. They had like Weirdo's Bakery,
Mhm.
um,
Amber's Coffee,
Amber's Coffee and Horizon, Love Alumni Boutique, which is a
Mhm.
mobile boutique bus,
Mhm.
Bohoma
Bahoma Scent
Scent.
Co., which like they do like candles and any type of like fresheners.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, just like you're building that rapport with the community. A big thing that we have a goal to do is to get more involved in nightlife.
Mhm.
So, fun fact, another fun fact, El Paso's median age range is 34.
Oh, wow.
So, our two
Mhm.
most populous groups are the 15 to 19 demographic and the 20 to 24 demographic.
Mhm.
So, that's a stronghold within this city.
Mhm.
So, we know that nightlife is really popular,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, violence can occur
Mhm.
when
Mhm.
people are in under inhibitions of
Mhm.
of
Alcohol.
alcohol or any type of other substance.
Mhm.
And our goal right now is to just build rapport with the nightlife community here.
Mhm.
Um, so that's basically like what our job is, to
Mhm.
just build community and let people know that one, they're not alone if they are a survivor. Um, how to be there for survivors, and letting survivors know that the community has their back.
Mhm. It's
Mhm.
great. It's, like, amazing work that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
And of course, we kind of spoke about this before, but I do have a new program that I'm starting up here called No More Bullying. I went to Kansas City to learn about it with the Wayside Waves, and this program is to help the youth understand that bullying. Why would you bully a pet or any kind of animal? Um, if you're not gonna bully a pet, why would you bully, a human? And um, I think that that is really important too. And I feel like we can definitely partner up
Mhm.
and with this program, have you all come and speak about all these different topics because it's definitely needed here. Um, but of course, if somebody does see any of this happening, or if it is happening to them, how can they help, or how do they seek help?
So within our agency, we have a helpline number,
Mhm.
and that number is a number you can call in case either if they know someone or
Mhm.
it is them.
Mhm.
If they're ever in a situation where they kind of feel like maybe this is not a healthy environment that I'm in. Maybe this relationship that I'm in is not very healthy.
Mhm.
Um, they can call the number and they can either create like a safety plan, whether they're unsafe at the home. They help them create that safety plan in order to leave that household and either get shelter or just get out of the house. Right, that's always
Mhm.
the first step.
Yeah.
And the number is 915-593-7300.
Okay.
Um, and even if they are also a survivor of sexual violence, they're also able to call that number if they need hospital companionment. They're able to receive that as well. So if they need to get any test done at the hospital, and there's an advocate that goes with them, and they provide them any services that they may need, anything like that. Um, Maybe they need therapy or a support group, any advocacy.
Yeah.
They provide that as well. But yeah, so if anyone ever um, knows someone, right, they can always provide that number as well, or even just the information of our agency.
Mhm.
A lot of the times people don't know that our agency even exists.
Yeah.
So it's just being that active bystander, and when they know something that's happening, they're able to be active and say, hey, you know what, like I know this place that you can get more information on, and get the help that you need.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna add, it's not just for women and children.
Mhm.
Our shelter actually accepts men, women, and children. And the men don't have to have children with them.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay.
So oftentimes that stigma exists too, where it's a
Yes.
women's issue,
Hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Or it's like the battered women's shelter.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, no, it's like this is the Center Against Sexual and Family Violence, and we're here to serve everybody. That number is available 24/7,
Hmm.
365,
Mhm.
English and Spanish.
Hmm.
There's a trained advocate, like Annabelle said, to answer the call. Even if it's somebody who's calling for somebody else,
Mhm.
how do I talk to this person and provide them support?
Yeah.
We can talk you through that as well.
Hmm.
It's a number that is useful not just for
Mhm.
when you need a shelter.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, there might be people that don't, maybe they're questioning and they don't know, and so they can ask and get to know, like, is this
Yeah.
something that, might not be healthy?
Mhm.
So I think that's amazing that you guys have that available for our community.
Even aside from the violent aspect of it, or
Mhm.
with domestic violence and sexual violence, even if somebody's being stalked, maybe
Mhm.
Mhm.
harassed,
Mhm.
there's teen dating violence going on.
Mhm.
Youth can call this number as well if they need
Mhm.
assistance. And we have a lot of community partnerships with the county
Mhm.
DA, where if a protective order is needed, that can
Mhm.
be done.
Mhm.
So yeah, like this is a really useful tool to have. Um, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely. I learned so much just visiting your Instagram page. I learned so much, and everything that you guys have. It's amazing. It's
Thank
amazing,
you.
and I hope that people really do listen to this podcast and they learn, and hopefully, I hope that they never really need to call you all, but if they do, they have all the resources that they need. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add?
I'm like, thank you for having us. This is like very cool.
Yeah.
We have a podcast of our own, so being a guest on the podcast is
Yes.
really cool.
Yes, definitely. If you wanna drop your podcast name so that hopefully people can listen and learn more.
Yeah.
Yes. So our podcast name is La Voz De La Gente. It's on Spotify, and yeah, it's not I mean, it's kind of new, but
Mhm,
we go over a lot of different topics, like
mhm,
um, kind of talk about pop culture, what's happening,
mhm,
like this week, and we kind of talk about it. We analyze it, like, is this
mhm.
really healthy? Is
Yeah.
this, is this kind of unhealthy? And so just different
Mhm.
things like that we kind of talk about. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, awesome. Definitely. I mean, go check it out. I love it. I was listening like before we started the podcast. I started listening in and kind of getting a feel of who you all are. And like I said, you're doing amazing work. Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
um, taking time to come out to us and record this episode. We really appreciate it. And we hope that this partnership, grows, and hopefully we can stop any violence for all. That's
Yeah.
that's the goal.
Yeah, definitely, right? I'm like, if one person leaves with some type of knowledge, I'm like, that's great.
That's what I
That's a
always say.
win.
If I
It's a win
changed
in our
one,
book. Ah.
yeah, exactly. But no, thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you all for listening, and we hope that you enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.